Today I'm going to be showing you how I make my ruched one-piece bikini. And I really like this one-piece bikini because it's adjustable on the sides, so whether you have a short torso or a long torso, you can always adjust it to your liking. First you will need a pattern, and I have my digital printable PDF pattern available in the description if you want to follow along exactly. So the first thing that we'll go over is the materials that we need to make this bikini. Fabric weights, a loop turner, fabric scissors, a rotary cutter, pins if you need them, matching polyester or woolly nylon thread, a sewing machine, a serger, an elastic application serger foot, and I use clear elastic to make my bikinis. You'll also need a clear acrylic ruler to cut out your straps. We're going to be cutting out 2 pieces of each pattern piece. So we're going to be doing 2 of the top back, 2 of the top front, 2 of the bottom back, and 2 of the bottom front. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that right now. So at this point we have 2 pieces cut out for each pattern piece. Next we are going to need 3 straps. All straps are 1 1/4 of an inch wide, but one strap is going to be 34 inches long and the other 2 are going to be 25 inches long. Place these straps to the side and grab your 4 bottom pieces. So that is 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces for the bottom. Next we're just going to pair the front with the back for both. And now we are just going to turn these to where right sides are facing. So pair front with the back to where right sides are facing each other. So we're just going to serge along this crotch area with no elastic attached. Feel free to use pins to pin this part together before we start serging. I'm going to go ahead and get started on that right now. So we just finished serging this crotch area here for both pieces, and now we're just going to open them up and we are going to place them so that right sides are facing. So now that we have everything lined up pretty evenly, we are going to go ahead and serge these together with elastic attached. And I made a diagram to show you where we are going to serge the pieces together because we are going to avoid these corners here. So you see these 2 sides on this corner, and we're going to do that for all 4 corners, making sure to just completely avoid them. And then everywhere you see the dotted line is where we are going to serge with the elastic attached. And just to go ahead and show you on the actual suit, we're going to avoid these sides here. Avoid these sides. And we are also going to avoid these sides here. Everywhere else we're going to serge with elastic attached. And I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. We just finished serging these pieces together with the elastic attached, making sure to avoid these sides here. And now we're just going to place our bottom to the side and get our 4 top pieces. So we're going to keep our back with our back and our front with our front. Just go ahead and open it up and place them one on top of the other with right sides facing. Now that these are lined up pretty evenly, we are going to serge these sides together with elastic attached. And I made another diagram to show you exactly where we are going to be serging. We're going to make sure to avoid these sides here and this curved piece, as well as the top shoulder part. And we are going to do that for the front and the back piece. So we're going to avoid all of these curved areas here. We're going to avoid the sides, and we are also going to avoid these top shoulder areas here. And now I'm going to go ahead and serge these pieces together with the elastic attached. Alright, so we just finished serging our two top pieces together with elastic attached, making sure to avoid these shoulder pieces as well as the sides and curved areas for both pieces. Now we're just going to place these to the side with the other bikini pieces. And now we are going to grab our straps and we are going to serge them together with elastic attached. So in order to do that, we just fold our straps in half long ways with right sides facing, and then we're just going to serge along this open edge here with the elastic attached. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now for all three of my straps. Next, we are going to use our loop turner to turn these straps right side out. Now that we've completed our straps, we're just going to push them over to the side. Next, grab all of the other pieces that you put to the side, so you should have two top pieces and one back piece, and we're just going to turn them all right side out. So once I've turned all the pieces right side out, I'm just going to group together the two top pieces and place the back piece to the side. So now we are going to connect the front piece to the back piece. The way that we do that is we take both of our shoulder pieces, make sure that they are lined up the way that we are going to sew them together. And we are going to take one and place it directly inside of the other. It doesn't matter which one is in which. Just like that, place one inside of the other. And now we're just going to pin this down. We can actually go ahead and do the same thing for the other shoulder pieces. Next, we are going to go in through one of these sides, it doesn't matter which. And we are going to go inside up to the shoulder that we just pinned. And we are going to grab on top of where we just pinned, making sure to have a good grip on it before we take the pin out. So now that we have a good grip of all four layers, we're just going to take the pin out. And now we are just going to flip this inside out, making sure to keep everything aligned the way it is, just like it is. So we're just going to pull this over. Make sure everything is lined up. Kind of smooth everything out. Making sure not to twist it, because if you twist it then it will be sewn down wrong. So now that you see, I've pulled it up to where the edges are right on top of each other here. And so now we are just going to pin this down. And we can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side as well. So we have both of our shoulders pinned down, and we are actually going to sew about 1/2 inch from this edge here, and making sure to backstitch back and forth a few times at the beginning and the end. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for both shoulders. Now that both shoulders are sewn down, we can go ahead and pull them right side out. Just like that. Now that we've finished attaching these shoulders here, we're going to move on to attaching these sides here. So we're going to use the same basic concept about putting one side inside of the other, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So it doesn't matter which one goes into which one. Just want to place one inside. Once you have one side inside of the other, go ahead and start pinning it down. And whenever you get to the bottom, you just want to stop right above this curved area here. So now we are going to come in through the other side, or through a hole. And we are going to grab onto it just like we did with our shoulder pieces. You want to grab over the pin. And I like to focus on this corner here. You want to keep everything aligned. So go ahead and take out the pins. Make sure you have a good grip before taking out your pins. And then we are just going to flip it again. And when you flip it, you should have your edges that touch up here. So go ahead and line up your whole side, just like that. And we are just going to pin this down again. And now we are just going to sew about 1/2 inch from this edge here, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So this is what it'll look like once you finish. And now I'm just going to cut off the excess fabric. Now we'll just pull it right side out. Now we're going to do the other side. We're just going to put one inside of the other, doesn't matter which. Once you put one side inside of the other, go ahead and pin it down. I just like to go ahead and go through this hole that I have here. And then I'll get a good grip. And then I can take the pins out. Turn this inside out again. Alright, and once I have it lined up, I can go ahead and pin it down. Now we'll go ahead and sew about 1/2 inch from the edge, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end again. Now I can go ahead and turn this right side out. So ideally, if you have everything lined up correctly, this is what this curved area is going to look like on the side. It's going to line up nice for you. But everyone makes mistakes just like I did. And you could see these aren't aligned very well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a little bit off of here just to even that up and make it more of a curve. So as you can see, I just cut a little bit off just to make it a little bit more of a continuous line. Now we could actually place this piece to the side and grab the bottoms. And we are going to be doing the same thing for the bottoms. We're just going to connect these sides here. So I'm going to place one inside of the other. Making sure that our edges here at the bottom line up. And you can pin it down if you'd like. So this curved area is going to remain open just like with the top. So whenever you pin it down, make sure to focus on these edges here touching. And you could actually just go directly inside of this hole and grab on top of the layers again. Pull the pin out and flip it inside out. So ultimately you just want to make sure that these remain lined up. So once you have it completely lined up like this, these two edges are touching, you want to go ahead and pin it down. And once you have all 4 layers pinned down nice and evenly, we are going to go ahead and sew about a 1/2 inch from this edge here, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and at the end. Just finished sewing that edge down, and now I'm just going to cut off the excess fabric. And then we could pull it right side out. That's how it should look. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Once you have a nice grip, go ahead and pull out the pin. And then we're going to flip this inside out, making sure to keep everything aligned. Just like that. And then we can go ahead and pin this down. And there we go. So now that we have attached all of our sides here, we're just going to go back to all of these curved edges here, and we're just going to clean it up by serging directly on top of it. So we're just going to serge over this in a nice curved angle. We're basically just going to clean it up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all 4 of the curved areas here. So this is what it should look like when you finish. I basically just cleaned up the edge a bit with the serger, and it creates a nice clean curve now, and I did that for all 4. Now we're going to create the tunnels for the strap to go through in order to create that ruche effect. And you could use anything that you feel comfortable with on the fabric, but I like to use this white pencil. So basically we're just going to fold the top in half and make sure that you're marking on the front piece, and the front is going to be the larger piece. And I just like to create a little marking in the middle on the top, and then I'll do the same thing on the bottom, where I'll just create a marking halfway. Alright, so I just finished marking it. There's one of my marks, and I have another one of my marks here. And what I like to do is I'm going to use either a seam ripper or fabric scissors to create a hole in the seam about 1/4 of an inch from both ways. So 1/4 of an inch this way and 1/4 of an inch this way. And I'm going to do that for the bottom and the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Remember, we are just making a hole in the seam, and you could use either a seam ripper or fabric scissors for that. And so as you can see, I have my hole here, and now I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Okay. And also, in order to make it easier for whenever I'm sewing, I like to kind of create a a small marking or little dots so that I make sure that I'm sewing straight down, because it's really important that I match up with that hole. So now I have a little marking of where I'm going to sew my straight line here, and there is a hole at the top and a hole at the bottom here, which is just big enough for my straps. And so I'm going to go ahead and sew directly on this line that I made, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. As you can see, I just finished sewing my line all the way down, making sure to backstitch on the top and the bottom. Next, I'm just going to sew another line about 1/4 of an inch from this line on both sides. So 1/4 of an inch this way and 1/4 of an inch this way. Alright, so as you can see, I just finished creating the 2 tunnels for the ruching effect on the top. And each tunnel is 1/4 of an inch wide. The next thing that I'm going to do is create the tunnels in the sides. So I'm going to grab my bottom part, and what we are going to do is we are just going to fold this inside at about 1/4 of an inch as well. We're going to fold it over inside, and then we are going to sew directly on top of here to create a tunnel. So make sure that you fold it on the inside so that it's hidden. And we are just going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch. And it may be tricky whenever you are sewing. You might have to maneuver it a little bit because it is curved. So it may be a little bit tricky whenever you are sewing it. But you are just going to sew it down at 1/4 of an inch, and I can go ahead and add pins. Alright, just like that, we have it pinned, and we're just going to sew along here, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. And keep in mind that it is okay that this does not line up all the way to the edge here. It's not going to match up perfectly because this part is a little bit shorter than this part, and that's completely okay. So we're just going to sew along here, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Alright, and I just finished sewing that tunnel. This is what it looks like on the other side. And now I'm going to do that for all of the other curved sides, on the top and the bottom. Just finished the top, now I'm going to grab the bottoms and do the same thing. This is one of the sides. I'm going to do the next one. So now that we have all of our tunnels made, we can go ahead and grab our loop turner and our straps. Go ahead and measure out which one is the 34-inch one or the longer one. So we have our long strap. We're going to go to our top, go to the bottom, and insert the loop turner into one of the tunnels and bring it all the way out, and then hook the loop turner onto one side of the strap and pull it through. And once you have a good amount on the other side, we're going to do the same thing for the other tunnel. Just stick your loop turner in and push it all the way through to the end. Grab the other end with the loop turner. Make sure it's hooked on and then pull it through. So it's folded in half and you just want to pull it. And there we go, we can tie that. The ends of the, I will go ahead and tie the ends of the strap into a knot. Now we just need to connect the top to the bottom with our other straps. So what we'll do is take our loop turner, start with the front and go towards the back. And then we'll go in through the back here. And pull this one from the front to the back. There we go. Tie it in a bow. Tie the ends in a knot and cut off the excess fabric. There is one side, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And that is the completed ruched one-piece tutorial. I absolutely love how this bikini came out. I hope that you love it as much as I do. Also, I did want to mention that I actually designed this fabric. If you want me to add it to my Etsy shop, just let me know in the comments below. And I hope you guys are staying safe. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. Until next time, I will see you guys later.